All right, today we are live. Let me double check my audio. Looks like we're in business. We're going to be going through a subject to deal. This one, I just got this notice of this deal today. So, this is 2611 Potomac Drive in Leech City, Texas, 77573. And the purchase price for this property is $334,000 with an interest rate of 2.62%. Now, a 2.62% is a really great interest rate. And a subject to deal is a creative finance deal where you're buying the property, so you will still take title, right? Your name will be on the deed, but you would be taking over the underlying loan. So that's why it's called subject to, because you're buying the property subject to the existing financing. Not assuming the loan, you're taking over the payments for those, right? And for those of you that are not in the subto community, you can always just reach out to me. I got a affiliate link for the subto community. That's where I learn a lot about creative finance. But obviously, we have our own affordable housing investment community. So just DM me anytime you guys want to join. All right. So today, the total monthly payment is $2,162. Entry fee of $63,000. 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2410 square feet, 1991. There is an HOA. So this is some good deals. Entry, cash or seller and agent $1,000. There's $57,000 in arrears. So if you're ever wondering why someone is selling on a subject to, typically sellers sell in subject to when they're in a great amount of pain. And when you see that there's $57,000 in arrears, that's how far back behind they are on their payments. So they owe $57,000 just to get back to the loan to be current. So that's why they're selling subject to, because chances are if they were just selling the market, they probably wouldn't recover enough capital to pay off the underlying loan. So the only way you can get a higher purchase price is by selling subject to, because of a more attractive interest rate. And in this scenario, it's 2.62%. All right. So let's get some of these details down here. 2791. All right, let's see. So we're going to go first and look up this property. Let's see what we see here. 2611 Potomac Drive. These pictures are like 3 years old. For the most part, I don't need to do any flooring updates. Looks like it's all tile flooring. Some carpet, that's okay. There's a pool in the back. All right, so this property was bought. Did it say anything? No, not on the disclosure date. $334,000 in 2021. Okay, all right. So they probably can't sell the property as is because of how interest rates are. So let's look at this. 4-bed, 3.5 bath. Condition looks okay. Let's see what county this is in. This is in Galveston County. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to get the ceiling rents. To get the ceiling rents, you have to Google HUD FMR. FMR stands for fair market rents. And you're going to click on the first link right up here, okay? What do you find subto to do? Is, hey, I'm in a community called Subto, led by Pace Morby. So I'm in a mastermind program. So I typically get sent a ton of these subject to deals from other folks. If you ever want to join Subto, I got an affiliate link down there. So you just let them know that I referred you, but click on the link. But great question. Otherwise, sometimes you can also be in a free Facebook group. But man, there's just so many people in a free Facebook group. Sometimes it's hard to pick apart the noise. So I'm friends with like a ton of wholesalers. So these deals just get emailed to me all the time. Now, obviously, a lot of times when I analyze these deals, they're not cash flowing. And when you think about it, why are they emailed out, right? Well, if you're a wholesaler and you know you're going to get a creative deal and you know you're going to cash flow, chances are you're going to try to keep it for yourself. So that's why a ton of deals, whenever they get published or they get emailed, it's either a fact that the wholesaler either can't raise the capital or they want it today money. So that's why they're wholesaling every couple of deals, and maybe they're keeping that wholesaling fee to buy their own properties down the road. So there's a lot of reasons why these subject to deals ever come out and actually get wholesaled. And that just is one of the very few reasons of many reasons why people get it. So great question there. Okay, so now I'm going to go to click access to small area FMRs, look up FY 2024 FMRs. We're going to look for Texas. This is in Galveston County. And now I'm going to look by bedroom count, by zip code, 77573. 77573. And you're going to see right here that the rent ceiling for a 4-bed is 2880. Let's write that down. 77573. 77573, 77573. Again, just noting down these numbers so that my partners know exactly how I got and arrived at my rent assumptions. And 3-bed is 2240. Huge jump, right? From a 3-bed to a 4-bed. Let's see what's going on. 573. And now that I got my ceiling rents, the next thing I need to do is look for my market rents. So in order to do this, I go to affordablehousing.com. I go to the owner section. I go for the market rent estimator. And then I'm going to plug in the address and the bedroom count. Now, the most important number right here is this number here on the bottom right. It says that for 25 units within a 0.8 mile radius, the average rent is $24.65. 2465. So let's write that one. 2465. I'm just going to write down these numbers all the way to the left so that's quickly easy to work out. 2590, 2590, and then 2381 for the county. All right. So now that I got a general baseline, right? I now know that within a 0.8 mile radius, 25 units, average rent is $24.65. Even though the rent ceiling is $2,880, right? This number typically includes utilities, and this is the ceiling. If you underwrote with $28.80, you would probably be grossly overestimating rents, right? You have to use the lower of the two because of a test called the rent reasonableness test. Now, what is the rent reasonableness test? All right, I'm going to pull up the Housing Choice Voucher Guidebook, HCV. HCV is what was formerly known as the Section 8 program, okay? Now, the Section 8 program was rebranded to Housing Choice Voucher because of some negative connotation that was associated with the word Section 8. So that's why they rebranded Housing Choice Voucher. Now, in its guidebook in Section 2.2, you're going to see that this statement right here. In conducting rent reasonableness, the PHA must determine whether the rent to the owner is a reasonable rent in comparison to rent for other comparable unassisted units. This essentially states that you can't charge more rent simply because you're renting out to a voucher holder, right? For the obvious reasons. And a PHA, usually they're not going to allow you to charge more rent because then the government is losing money technically, right? Now, that doesn't say that some cities and counties won't pay more than market. It's definitely an exception, not the rule. But in this scenario, right, obviously size and unit type still matters. But typically, and after I put in 4 bedrooms, right, there's really no 4-bedroom apartments. They're very rare. So I'm pretty confident that most of these comps for this 4-bedroom are probably single family homes. So using the rent reasonable test, you have to use the lower of the two. So I'm going to use 2465 as my rent assumption because that is the more reasonable rent assumption. Okay. Now we're going to plug in the rest of these numbers together here now. Okay. All right. So let's go through this. Purchase price $334,000. So this 334,000. That goes right in B4. We're going to go down to the entry fee of $57,156. So it's $1,000 to the seller agent, $1,000, and then $57,156 for the arrears. And there's a $5,000 assignment fee. Okay, I got 2.5% for closing costs, and I got for my renovations. I'll probably just set aside money to paint the place because the house looks like it's in pretty good condition. So I'm going to repaint the entire place for 2,410 square feet. So I'm going to rehab calculate spreadsheet. I got $1,500 for the roof, just in case there's anything I can't see from the photos. $500 for some landscaping, keep the outdoors tidy. And in row 86, I'm going to put in 2,410 at $3 a square foot. So I'm also going to repaint the entire place. So that gives me, and I'm also going to replace the toilets with higher pressure flush toilets. And usually there's, I believe there's 2 of them right here. 2 toilets, 4 bed, 2 bath, right? Oh, 2.5 bath. I'll replace all 3. I don't want any clogged toilet calls. That's really why I switch them up. So I got $12,696 for my rehab. That flows right into B6 right there. $2,465 for my rent. Okay. Now I'm going to plug in my details for the mortgage. Okay. The mortgage right here. I'm going to show you all. What's the mortgage? What's the mortgage rate? Did he tell me how much the mortgage is? There it is. The underlying loan is $324,227, 2.62% interest rate, maturity date of 10/31/2051. So I'm going to back into 2021. Okay. 10, 31, 21, 324, 227, 324, 227, 2.62% interest rate. Okay. Now that I got these numbers in here, I'm going to come down here and now calculate my property taxes. In B28, right, I have a total monthly payment of 2162. This already includes HOA, so I want to make sure I don't double count that. 2162. So I'm going to go to the cell B28. I'm going to do 2162. And now I'm going to subtract the principal and I'm going to subtract the interest portion of the subto loan. And that backs into how much property taxes and insurance that is currently on the property. Now, because someone is probably inhabiting the property as a prime residence property, right? When I switch it to an investment property, it's probably going to cost more money. So that's why I'm going to add extra $30 per month right now. If it was Florida, I'll probably put $50 because hurricanes hit Florida every single year and they're just skyrocketing every year. So I'm going to add extra $30, right? Then I got 10% set aside for maintenance. I don't have an HOA expense here because remember, it was already included in B28, right? In my total monthly number. Then I got 10% for property management, 5% for vacancy. So if I rent this property out as a 4-bedroom, right? And I rent it out for $2,465, I would be cash flowing on this deal negative $343 a month, right? And that's the cash and cash return on negative 4.9%, assuming I really bought this property for $334,000. Okay, and that's assuming a $12,700 rehab. All right, now let's say you really like this area and you really believe it's gonna, I don't know, appreciate a lot in a year. For some of us, right, we might say, okay, well, $300 might not be that bad, right? Losing every single month if this property goes up 10% every single year or something like that, right? But that's obviously not my strategy. And obviously, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. You have to understand what you believe is your risk appetite and how much you're willing to pay for this property for the cash flow you're going to receive. I personally don't want to be reaching to my pocket every single month. But that's my preference. Some folks, right, if you're in the state of California, some folks just want to break even on their deals, right? Because California might go 5-10%. But again, that's really speculative, right? Betting on appreciation is very speculative, very risky. It's kind of like a hope and pray method. So equity will always come and go, but cash will always flow. And that's a statement I always go by. And just be aware, right? I'm simply showing you all the work for you to determine whether or not it's worth your time to, one, investigate the deal further. And what I mean by investigate the deal, that means doing deeper underwriting. That could mean that you're calling up the local housing alert to verify how much rent you can get for this property, right? That also means that maybe you get some boots on the ground to go out there and give you actual photos, right? Because maybe you don't believe all the photos that I took. Or you can actually get a contractor out there to bid on a project and tell you like, okay, yeah, this house is going to need more than painting, right? The carpet's all out of shape. You got to replace the flooring too. It got torn up. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. But this analysis process, right? We've only been live for, let's say, how long have we been live for? 15 minutes. And I can tell you right away that's not worth my time anymore, right? I'd rather spend 15 minutes than waste an hour of my contractor's time, right? Because if a contractor's good, chances are they're going to be busy. And if you keep calling them out to go to properties to walk a site for you that you're not going to rehab, you're going to lose credibility. And chances are eventually someone's going to stop taking your calls. So be cautious of your credibility and your branding, because the last thing you want to do is for a Class A contract to not want to work with you anymore. Okay, so be very careful about that. All right, next up, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and check out the spreadsheet, right? So my goal is for you to copy my homework today. If you go to affordablehousing.io, you go to the Get Deal Analysis tool, plug in your name, your email, your phone number. I promise I won't spam you. That's how you get a copy of the spreadsheet. And my sincere hope is that you just copy my homework today, right? Look at the same deal I analyzed today using the same spreadsheet, right? And then just put it on your own YouTube channel. Find one part, one section, and just explain it better than I did. That's it, using the same deal. And before you know it, you will have 288 videos on your own YouTube channel to demonstrate to yourself that you know what you're doing. And most importantly, when a partner asks you why you think this is a deal, you can just rattle off your process like that. And they will recognize that, one, not only is this guy talking, he is actually walking the walk, and he's been consistent, right? Everybody says they're consistent. Everybody says they're hardworking. Not that many people are actually willing to do the work every single day, even though you might have every single excuse to not do it, right? It's 11:42 on Sunday night right now, but I want to stay consistent because it feels weird if I don't go live analyzing the deal anymore. Right? For the first 100 days, it was so hard, but once you get past 100 days, you're gonna know that this is now a habit. Once you feel weird that you're not doing something, that's when you know a habit has been formed. And I hope this sits well with you, and hope this helped. What kind of financing do you usually do for your investment properties? Hey, Drev, I usually do 25% down using DSCR loan, and the length of the mortgage is usually 30 years. Very typical. That's very typical for your DSCR loans. But obviously, there's some properties right now that I have partners for, and they will do private money lending. So those deals are typically a 6 to 12 month process to purchase the property cash, renovate the property cash, and then afterwards refinance that into a longer term loan, and it could be a DSCR loan. Great question. Thanks for asking. I appreciate you participating in live. So that's it. I hope you all have an amazing Sunday night. I hope you guys all got to spend some quality time with your family and friends today. I hope you guys get your week off started with huge amounts of momentum. And I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 289. Have a good one, everybody. Get the week off started with momentum. Stay consistent and do it alongside with me. And most importantly, thank you so much for being part of this live. Thank you so much for caring about affordable housing. Without people like all of you, I would have never had the home I grew up in. So for that, I sincerely thank you. It's very hard to find groups of people in the world where they want to give back, they have good hearts. And I don't take that lightly, and I am so grateful for that. So I hope you have an amazing night. I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 289. Have a good one, everybody.